If you would have told me 10 years ago that one day I would have to go back to living life like a man, I would have laughed. My name is Michael Bermudez, and this is Beyond the Known.
What led up to your transition?
So basically what led up to my transition was a friend that I had in school, basically in high school. This is somebody I didn't even know, but when I met him one time in detention, I heard that this person would dress up like a girl, you know what I mean? So that kind of caught my attention, you know?
At what age again?
At 12, yeah. So I met him in detention, and then we just started talking and everything, and then I started asking like, hey, I've heard that, you know, you dress like a girl and all that stuff, and I wanted to know if like you can help me do it one time.
So you were very curious.
Yeah, so I was very curious about that, basically. I was very curious about that, and he was like, oh yeah, sure, like, you know, so he started telling me about the club and everything, and there was this club on Santa Monica and Las Palmas called The Arena, where it was known for underage kids going there. Yeah. So he was like, you know, I'm a go-go dancer, or something like that, like a go-go dancer, and we can get in free and everything. So after that talk, we had set off to go and steal stuff in downtown LA to be able for me to get dressed. So I remember stealing a yellow wig, a blonde wig, and some like shorts and other stuff, and that's how I started transitioning, to be honest, was because of that, you know.
So the bad influence.
Yeah, because the bad influences. The curiosity. In the past, there wasn't social media, but that's what really led up to me doing that stuff. And that's what led to problems with my grandma. Okay. And not only that, but you know what started my transition too? Just all the problems that I had at home with my mom and my stepdad and all that stuff just led me to like just feel lonely, like I had a huge void inside of myself, that it doesn't matter, like even if it was with my mom or with my dad or with who I was, I always felt lonely on the inside, you know. And so especially like sometimes when my stepdad would hit my mom, like I would run. My grandma lived across the street from us, so I would run to my grandma's house, you know. I didn't want anything to do with, you know, my mom and my stepdad. It was just too much for me, you know. But then when I moved with my grandma, that's when I started a new high school, and that's where that influence came in.
Got it.
So I had more liberty to do things, you know, and my grandma really didn't say anything until she really found out what I was doing.
So when your grandma found out, is this where she found your stuff in your room and you started hiding them in the laundry room, or you just told her like, Grandma, I sneak out and I'm a girl?
So she found out because at one point I was sneaking out and coming home late. At one point as well, I was already taking hormones, and I was already growing breast, and she just kept seeing that, and one day she asked me, you need to take those socks.
You would stuff?
No, she told me, you need to take the socks off your chest, because what are you doing, you know? Yeah. And I remember one day I showed her, and I told her, look, these are not socks. And her face dropped.
Well, I'm sure.
She was extremely shocked. So the problems between the conflict with me and her started happening already. So I ended up running away, you know. All the stuff. So she found out that I had all the stuff, but I ended up hiding it in the laundry room. So I would hide my makeup, I would hide the shoes, I would hide the wigs, I would hide everything in the laundry room. And when it was time for me to get ready to leave to the club, or not even to the club, I got in the habit of, you know, wanting to dress up even in the day. Like I would leave school because I couldn't stop thinking about dressing up. So I would leave school to go dress up and then go to the streets. So at one point, I didn't even graduate high school because of it. Because my mind was just so stuck on that, you know? So I would just get all my things from the laundromat and I would leave at night, come home, and I would find all the doors locked. And basically, I had to wait till my grandma leaves to work to be able to get back in. But there was a point where I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore, you know?
Yeah.
The fights between me and her, and my brother started physically hitting me too, because he was like, you're not going to be like that. I don't accept you being like that. So one day, he came from work and caught me. And
dressed as a girl.
Yeah. And so basically I locked the door, and he kept knocking on the door. Open up, because he came home from work. Mm-hmm. And I was like hiding everything, like, oh my god, like running up like around the house, wiping the lipstick off and you know, putting everything back in order. So he ended up finding out anyways. And I think I don't remember if he hit me or not, but he didn't like it.
Yeah.
But that caused me to run away. So I just...
Now, you're at this point, how old are you?
I was 12.
Still 12?
I was 12. I was 12 years old, and I just ran away. You know, I just ran away, and... Yeah.
Wow. So, how was it being so young and like living in the streets, you know? Because at 12, you would think that you would get more truant from school, you know, like social workers and all that stuff coming because you're so young. But then you're also at a club that for underage, but you're really underage at this point, you know? So how is it like living out there? Obviously you're lonely, you're feeling sad, you have so many problems and situations, but you're trying to cover up this void by being a woman and being loved by guys for one night stands, you know?
Yeah.
So,
you know, it was really tough for me when I started living on the streets, because I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
yeah.
I went to a territory that has nothing to do with someone who's young, you know? I was raped so many times. I was beaten many times. I literally had to fight my way through everything.
Yeah.
Because the appearance of a 12-year-old, I had it, you know? But it was like hidden.
Yeah.
Between the makeup and everything, you know. But when people would see me, or men would see me, they saw I was young, and they would take advantage. So many of the times they would rob me. I almost got stabbed, chased. So a lot of things happened to me, and I had to mature really fast.
Yeah.
And I had to fight my way through a lot of things, because if I didn't fight, then I would get killed. You know what I mean? So a lot of things happened to me living on the streets of Hollywood. It's really bad. But once I started getting in the groove of things,
experience?
Exactly. When I started gaining experience,
Yeah.
so in the beginning of it, I got arrested so many times. I got arrested in the whole time of my 19 years, I think I've been arrested more than 15 times. But in the beginning was when I was barely like an amateur, you can say.
Yeah.
I got arrested a lot. I would get arrested back to back to back to back. Be sent to a group home. I ran away from the group home. The police would catch me again. They would put me back in the group home. I would run away again. They would catch me. It was just like a
cycle.
It was a cycle, you know.
And at this point, when you are, you know, in the cycle of always being chased down by the police, did the drug addiction start? Were you already using drugs at this point at the age of 13 years old?
So, I didn't start using drugs till later. I was never a person who liked drugs, and what started off was drinking. And you know, I can say that, you know, when you start doing something, it leads you to something else. So when I started getting more experience with prostitution and how to make money and all that stuff, then I started investing all that money that I got and started investing it in myself, my physical appearance. Because till this day, I never graduated junior high school. I never graduated high school, and the only thing that I knew how to do was prostitute.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to make more money, then I would need to invest in myself to make more money. So I would invest in myself to make more money, and when I started looking better, that's when the
potential clients.
Yeah, that's when I had potential clients, and then that's when the drug addiction came, like you were saying.
Yeah, like behind and starting to introduce professional.
I think what really made me change my mind on that lifestyle was to see that ever since I started being that way, that loneliness and that emptiness never left. And as much as I kept trying to fill myself with drugs, with money, with shopping, with friends, with clubs, with buying bags and purses and all that stuff, I mean, that fills you up at a certain point. It can fill me up for the day, for a temporary time, but nighttime hits and it's back to the empty self, you know? So
Wait, did you ever have a scare like that? You know, that, I mean, we look at your photos and you look amazing. Like, wow, you're like, this cannot be the guy.
yeah.
At any point, was there a guy that when you found out you were a guy, you felt like your life was like super threatened?
A lot of things did happen to me, you know. My thing was that I would always let them know, because of everything that happened to my friends. I said I'm not gonna be one of those people who is gonna try to trick them, because then I'm gonna be getting tricked at the end, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of things happened to me, because there's times where I didn't want to, you know, sleep with people or stuff like that. They got really mad. They would come into my apartment and trash the place. I mean, would not want to leave my house. And I was like, no, you have to leave. Like, grab food and just dump it on my bed and trash everything. But I had a lot of scares, you know. The worst scare that I've had, I have top 3, but one of the worst ones was getting in a car with someone who just got out of prison and was extremely upset because he got in a fight with his girlfriend. He got out of prison, so he really wanted to take his anger out on somebody.
Wow.
So me and him were just fighting on the freeway on the 101 going towards Pacoima or something. And I just kept fighting him, you know. We just kept fighting, and then he was like, you know what, I'm gonna take you to my hood and we're gonna rape you and then we're gonna kill you. And I was like, well, you have the wrong person, because that's not gonna happen. I remember at that time I looked at the mileage on of the car was past 80 on the freeway, and I opened the door and I jumped out of the freeway. I don't know how many times I rolled, just kept rolling. I'm so glad that nobody was in back. It was just an empty freeway. But I skid across the pavement for about 20 seconds. I had a huge gap.
A road burn?
Yeah, I had, all this was just bad. So I did have a lot of scares, you know. But basically what led me to change was that I saw my friends that they were 40. I was 31 at the time, and all my friends were 40, 50, 60. Some were still prostituting with HIV. Some had complications from all the stuff that they've done. So I said to myself, you know what? I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. I really, really don't want to be like that. 3 things were going to happen to me. Either I was going to end up murdered by somebody, and then my parents were going to find out your son, you know, was murdered on so-so street or found in a dumpster or something. That was my number 1 scare. The other one was contracting HIV. And the third one was being locked up in prison for years. I have friends right now who are doing time in prison for years. I'm talking about years because it's a felony to prostitute with a disease at that extent, you know? So that really made me change. I said I need to find. I already knew about the church. I already knew about the church. I was coming 5 years to the church like that.
Dressed as a woman.
I would come Mondays. I would come Wednesdays. No, not Wednesdays. I would come Mondays.
But would anybody at the church they look at you like that's a dude, but
yeah,
she's a girl,
they would.
You know?
Oh, there's one time I was on the elevator, and I got on the elevator, and the little kid was holding the mom's hand, and then the little kid was like, "Mom, that's a guy," and I got so pissed. I got so pissed. I felt like grabbing him, like
strangling him,
like
up.
Shut up, you know. And then the mom was like, "Mijo, like, be quiet. Don't say those things. You know, that's a woman, like, you know." But the kids always were the first ones to know. Church, Mondays, Fridays, and Sundays, and I felt amazing, you know. When they would do the liberation prayer, I felt so good. But I didn't know anything else but prostitution. I didn't know how to get out of that, to be honest. So it would just lead me back to doing the same thing over and over and over.
You'll just come, attend the service, the prayer, the liberation, and then that same night go back to the old ways?
Yeah.
For 5 years?
Yes, I did that for 5 years.
Until what? What happened? Like, you opened your heart? Were you just sincere with God? Did you just ask for help? I mean, was it someone nearby you that guided you, or you just had enough?
Grandma started coming into my life. And my grandma was already praying for me.
After how long have you guys not back to you?
Yeah. Well, I really did not see my grandma for a long time. For years, I didn't see my grandma. I think the last time I would see my mom and my grandma was when they came and visit me in Twin Towers at the jail. That's the only time I saw them. And the only time my mom would see me was on Facebook when I would post stuff.
Wow.
And I remember at the time, my grandma had told me this, that she was doing a 40-day fast with my mom. I think it was a fasting and prayer. And then because my grandma was like, he's gonna come back to being what God made him. It's determined, and that's how I believe, and that's my faith, and that's what's gonna happen. And then my mom would say, how is that gonna happen? He just posted on Facebook that he got a nose job, or he's gonna go bigger, you know?
Yeah.
So my mom's faith was declining, I think, but my grandma she maintained strong, you know what I mean? So I didn't see my grandma for a long time, but that's when I would call my mom, and I would be like, Mom, I need money, or else they're gonna kick me out of the hotel, you know? So she would send money with my grandma. And my grandma lived all the way over here, and Studio City was all the way here. And my grandma would come almost 2 hours to Studio City to drop me off the money, bring me food. And I was really bad. My drug usage was horrible. I was 10 years on crystal meth, drinking, and I was just hallucinating and seeing things and all that stuff. So it was extremely, extremely bad. But she was like, you know what, I need you to promise me that you'll go with me to church on Sunday. They're having this event or purpose, and that place is gonna change your life. Like, promise me you'll go with me. I promised her, you know?
Yeah.
And I smoked the whole 3 days. I said, oh my gosh, I promised my grandma that I'm gonna go. So I started smoking more crystals, more crystal. Because I was Sunday was coming, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when Sunday came, she said, meet me on Hollywood and Western at the at the train station. So when I went the first time to church ever, I had a long sleeve shirt that was all the way up to here. A crop top. I had some pants that were below the hips.
It's like
with
low-rise
jeans with some boots all the way up here. Yes.
Okay.
And when my grandma saw, she just turned away. But I remember getting on that train and putting my head to my grandma's shoulder and broke out crying because I was so done suffering. So done. And she didn't do anything. She was really strong. She didn't even go like this. It's okay. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
She was determined and she just stayed in that faith. And I just kept coming until, to be honest, so I finally did open my heart to God. It's not easy getting to God, I had to let go of a lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of things.
What's something that you had the hardest to let go during your process of your transformation of becoming a man?
So I think the hardest thing for me was letting go of that lifestyle. Letting go of who I was, who I sacrificed so much to be as a girl, that I did love that. I did love that life.
Yeah.
I didn't like that lifestyle that I had as prostituting, but I did love that. But I saw that it wasn't leading anywhere. So I had to let go. It's like that picture that we've all seen, like on Facebook and on Instagram, where God is like, give me that teddy bear. I want that teddy bear, but he has something like he has a bigger teddy bear. And that to me, that teddy bear, that was my life. I didn't want to give it away. I did not want to give it away at all. But it was necessary. I had to give it. I had to give it away if I wanted a new life, And when I went to the service, the pastor was saying, that's what caught my attention. The pastor was saying, you may leave tonight. You may leave tonight, and you may die tonight. You may get hit by a car or something may happen. But what is going to happen to everything that you've worked so hard for, everything, Like, what's going to happen? And I thought about it, and I was like, he's completely right. Like, the first thing that I looked at were my breasts.
Oh, goodness.
Because I was like, it's so true. Like, these aren't even mine. They're fake,
Yeah.
As much as they look nice, they're completely fake. It's a bag filled with salt and water.
What size breast implants did you have?
It was a big size. It was a big size. But that's what touched me, and I believe that the Holy Spirit touched me that day. I wasn't going to come to church that day because I was completely hungover from the night before.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, I was always coming on Sundays, but that Sunday I wasn't going to come. But I got ready and I came. I listened to that message and it touched me to the point where he said, if you really want a new life, if you want to change, then raise your hand and get the thing to baptize yourself with, the robe.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I did. At first I had 3 doubts that came in that I did not know it was the devil, to be honest. I did not know. But I heard in my head, you're gonna get your car wet for this? I was like, oh, you're right. Like, I didn't bring a towel or anything, So that was the first doubt that came. The second doubt was, something like, you're gonna mess up your makeup or something like that. Oh, the second one was your hair. You're gonna mess up your hair because you didn't bring anything to fix it with or anything. So I was just like, you're right, my hair, you know? And the third one was my eyelashes. Yeah. So at the third one, when I heard that voice, I was like, you know what? Who cares about these eyelashes? I took them off and I raised up my hand. And then I got Albrera, helped me to go down. And that's where everything really started. That's where everything really started. I think it was from a sincere place in my heart. And that's why it happened. Because, I mean, if I would have got baptized in the waters knowing that I was going to go back to doing something, then I don't think nothing would have happened. But I did have my encounter with God that same day. And I know that it may sound crazy, but I think that everybody has their encounters differently. And I don't base my encounter off anybody, and I don't expect, or I wouldn't want anybody to base their encounter with God on mine, because everybody's is different.
Yeah.
So I had my encounter as soon as I got baptized when I went to the car. I sat in the car, and that's where I had my encounter. And from there, my mind changed completely. And that's how I know I had my encounter. Because when I got home, everything that was pink, my bedroom, I started looking at it with disgust.
Wow.
I started seeing everything like...
So you had a pink bedroom?
Yeah, I had my apartment was pink. I had everything almost pink to attract the guys.
Like you were Barbie, huh?
Yeah, so when they come in, they're like, oh my gosh, I never want to leave this place. So
okay, Ken.
But yeah, it was really strong for me too, you know, that I started seeing everything differently. And then little by little, I kept hearing the Holy Spirit's voice. And it was so amazing to me because I've heard so many voices, like in my past time, you know, that when I heard God's voice, it's completely different. It brings peace and it brings assurance of what He's asking me for. Mm-hmm. So that's when I started to really change, because I kept doing what He was asking me for until led me to now.